I mean, I haven't had the time to play games for a while, but I think maybe that's making time for myself, like you were saying at the beginning of the show. Like, if you're always doing something, always busy, although you're doing it for yourself, you're not taking time for yourself, so it's different.
So, weirdly enough, a thing that combines gaming and one of the answers I gave right at the very start about rest, and learning how to rest up and getting massages this year and stuff. Gaming for so many people that I've known has been how they actually rest, how they zone out, because your mind is like it's not fully passive, but it isn't in a work mode. You know what I mean? And then obviously your hands will be actually occupied, and during that time, people's conscious minds are occupied, means their subconscious mind can often work through stuff and can be dealing with other issues. So I think that's super interesting, especially in in roaming games, your classic Fallout, GTA, all that kind of stuff. Red Dead, the new Red Dead game just came out. All this sort of stuff. All those games where not only are you playing a game as a character, but your character has consequences. There's decisions that are made that literally affect the choices that can be made in the game. You're effectively existing in a world as a character, and that, in terms of GTA, will only get more and more it'll only be more and more immersive as the technology, the graphics, the immersion will only become more and more as the technology gets better. When there is the first, fully playable virtual reality GTA game, oh my lord, I'm not sure what that's going to do to the world. It might be great. It might be literally awful.
I remember when the last GTA game came out, lots of people didn't come into work. People do that now for games. I'm going to take the week off, the new GTA game came out.
And we're speaking on to another point, the gaming industry made more money than the music industry in the UK last year.
I can see that, only because of Fortnite. Is just, as a game platform, it's just...
Because you think about the stuff that has to go into a game.
Yeah.
You've got to have voice actors, you've got to have all the technical back stuff, you've got to have so many different... some of the most progressive and forward-thinking art is being actually made in video games recently, which is very, very interesting.
No, it's really cool. What do you think of the state of hip-hop at the moment? Because I know you're a lyricist yourself, so...
So I define myself as a hip-hop poet.
Okay.
And what do I think about the state of hip-hop right now? So apart from the headlines of hip-hop being the most the most sold music across the world, the most listened to music across the world, outside of the music, it's also it's the dominant force in popular culture around the world. So apart from that kind of stuff about just hip-hop straight up running the world, not even debatable, it just does.
Yeah.
Apart from all that stuff, I think that the most interesting things that are going on in hip-hop now is hip-hop not in the Anglophone world, hip-hop across the world, hip-hop culture across the world. The fact that I could go to basically any town or city in the world and see graffiti, see some form of break dances, maybe combined with the traditional dance of the area. Hear MCs spitting over any type of hip hop beat, be it a modern trap influence beat. Lots of places still cracking 90s boom bap. 90s boom bap is still the beat in lots of Scandinavian countries. Battle rap's huge in Scandinavia. You want to talk about DJing in obviously in China and Japan and a lot of the East and South Asian countries is one of the pillars of hip hop that's at the forefront. Do you know what I mean? I think the hip hop's always in a good place, because no matter how much they say hip hop is dead, hip hop saves its true citizens. Hip hop as a culture, as a thing that can be carried around and done by people, it's a tradition that's just been started in the history of global cultural traditions. It's only been around since the mid-70s, and therefore I have belief that that hip hop now, because it's only 45 years old, It's now doing the type of reflection that an adult would do when an adult becomes 45. You talk about the elder statesmen of hip hop that are now that are now growing into being, adults. I'm talking stereotypically men here, obviously, and they have kids, and they think about, what should I be rapping about? Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, just to pick those two examples for a start. They've now spent, 10, 15 years at least as to a whole generation of people, not primarily just rappers. They're also actors. They are business people. Snoop Dogg's got his own, football league. He does TV shows. All this sort of secondary content around the specific hip hop pillars, which they still are. Snoop Dogg's released like 3 albums in the past 4 years. Ice Cube just released an album. There's more names, but just because I rate these two people, and specifically, here's a good one, because these two examples come from a history of. They come from the time when gangster rap had its big moment of fear in the public image. Obviously, Ice Cube and Doggy and Doggy Style, all of the Snoop Dogg stuff. Like what both of those artists could do in bridging the gaps between East Coast and West Coast.
Yeah.
Ice Cube producing his stuff with the Bomb Squad. Snoop Dogg going over and being respected in the East Coast. I think that kind of bridging of boundaries and maturity in philosophy and maturity in the culture internally means that the culture is in a good place, not necessarily the best place, and obviously it fractures. It fractures as you go into more and more subcultures and niches. But overall, I think that hip-hop is in a good dialectic place right now. It can discuss with itself and have good dialogue with itself to be better than it has been.
Yeah.
R. Kelly is a part of hip-hop, arguably.
Yeah.
And obviously, the Surviving R. Kelly documentary came out, and it was after a year of the Me Too movement being repopularized. And, hip-hop is not afraid to address its transphobia, its homophobia, its sexism, and not that it's been afraid to address it before, but now I think the institutions and traditions and ways of doing hip-hop are being fundamentally changed because we have to address the imbalances that exist within hip-hop. Hip-hop is not external from the wider society that we live in, and so but it's also a culture and a tradition within and in of itself. So for hip hop to exist right now, we have to be aware of what's happening in the world and how can hip hop do it better. We have to be aware of what's going on in the world and think, how can hip hop help move this forward, help progress this? Like there was a quote that I think it was Ice Cube. It may have been KRS-One who said that hip hop is the dream that Martin Luther King dreamed. It's the
I can see that.
It is the culture in which you are not judged on the color of your skin. You're judged on the content of your character. Yeah. Because how do we as humans understand the content of someone's character? We listen to them, we look at them, we hear them. We see the way they move, they dance. We hear the way they speak, we hear the way they rap. We see what they do with their bodies in relation to technology. That's DJing. Do you know what I mean? Like there's ways in which hip hop comes out that is central to human expression, but not centered on things like race or immediate, surface stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm a hip hop idealist. I'm a stan about these things. I'm in a very purist, I would argue, space right now. I'm not always in this mood around hip hop, but right now in this moment, in what you've asked me, that's roughly where I am.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, go.
So it's just more of maybe the new styles of, I guess, hip hop.
Yeah.
In a sense of
trap rap.
Mumble rap and all this. It feels like it started from a place of not much more lyricism than this other stuff, and now
So sorry. Do you mean more lyricism in trap music?
No, just in hip hop as a general genre. It just felt like, or culture even. It just felt there was more lyricism or just actually talking about something in hip hop, as opposed to nowadays. It just feels like I have an idea, a coat hanger. Then I just start rapping off coat hanger, coat hanger, coat hanger, coat hanger. Hey, coat hanger, coat hanger, coat hanger. Hey, you just drop a new nice beat on that, and it's a banger, you know. It's just like it's
coat hanger, big banger, dropping clangers. I don't know.
Yeah, like something like that, and it's like, oh snap, he used coat hanger. It's like it's just where's the I don't know if try is the word or thoughts or using their own thoughts or even like stuff like Drake. I dislike him with a passion. Okay. But he makes good music. I cannot deny that. He makes good music, but just his artist work ethic, I dislike that. Just the fact that I know that obviously it's people like what's his name? P. Diddy and stuff like he doesn't write any of his own stuff. But I know that P. Diddy doesn't write his own because he's hands up, I don't write my own stuff. But Drake, I've been a fan of Drake since back when I was in university when I first found Drake.
Disclaimer: I have a shockingly low knowledge of Drake.
It's cool. I only know it from the standpoint of I was looking into samples around this time because I'm a producer. I was interested in what samples people use and how close they stick to the sampled song and how much of the original song they use. So I was listening for a load of Drake songs, and then there was one song I was listening to the sample of, and I was like, this is basically Drake's song. But and it's basically he used word for word the chorus. And I was just like, I understand recontextualization, but the worst one for me is I Get Lonely Too. There's a song by Drake called I Get Lonely Too. Word for word is fan mail by TLC.
Oh wow, I love TLC.
Word for word it is fan mail by TLC. Even the melody sounds similar. Okay. And I was like, I listened to it one time. When I first heard it, I was like, this song, I was singing along to it from the first listen. I was like, this song sounds way too familiar. And it's the thing with me is, if you're going to do that, I don't mind you doing this song and calling it I Get Lonely Too, whatever, but say it's a cover. At least say it's a cover. I know people out there that who've listened to Drake, I Get Lonely Too, and they think Drake has just written this song.
Yeah, but this is the classic example of when I think it was Drake, he did the Lauryn Hill X Factor rework.
I dislike that song as well, only because but for me it's the sample's too loud for too much of the song. It's just like the sample overpowers the actual words of what he's actually saying for me.
So here's a question for you then. Sampling is de rigueur within hip hop.
Yes, of course.
That's fine. So I guess the question is, how do we make sure that the producers now are paying respects to producers before?
I guess it's...
And a follow-up question.
Okay.
Do you think that's the producer or the musician's responsibility, or do you think it's the audience's responsibility? Because I don't necessarily blame Drake for loving Lauryn Hill.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Remaking the song, if you want to call it.
No, I mean I don't mind the song. I just dislike the use of the sample of how loud the sample is in this track. Okay. Just for me, it just feels like it overpowers the vibe of the. I'm missing some. Not that I'm missing the words, but it's just. The sample itself is going throughout the whole thing, and even when he starts rapping, it doesn't go any loud, it doesn't get any quieter, it just stays the same loudness throughout the whole song. And that to me is annoying, but the song itself, like I said, Drake makes amazingly great music, and I can't fault him for that, but just as an artist, I don't know, maybe it's the artist, because the artist must know that they've taking it from someone else to then before they're using it and before they're releasing it, especially if you're a big name, you know that your fans, if they hear this song by you, automatically they're going to think it's your song unless you say something. Unless you say it's inspired by, or maybe I watched it and it's... But if you don't tell your audience or your fans, how are they going to know? Because a lot of fans, very few of them, Me, I know that I do because I look into things. I want to know where this comes from or if this is a sample
I
or
would
stuff
say
like
there
that.
are more fans who are actively seeking out further information about their music now. But obviously, we live in an age of streaming.
Yeah, yeah.
Not only is it millions more people just listening to music, necessarily there will be a bunch more people actually looking for it. So, yeah, go on.
But I mean, I can only speak from me, from my point of view. But I know that I look into it. But